I'm Holly.
And I'm Stacey.
And we are here to discuss the side of musical theatre that isn't talked about enough.
And we're going to cover all of the topics that you're maybe not so excited to finally announce on your Instagram page.
Welcome to Behind the Curtain.
Hi everyone!
Hiya! Welcome back to the Behind the Curtain.
Season finale.
The season finale.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
What number episode is this then?
Unsure. Don't ask me that question.
I'm going to keep real. I'm so tired.
We've got our last week this week before our week off, and
I'm exhausted.
we're ready for a little week off, and then it's our last push.
Yeah, it's our home stretch after that.
Of the Rocky Horror Show, which is...
We're in Stoke this week. We've got lovely sunshine, which I must say is making a difference.
Oh, yeah.
But the battery, I'm like low power mode.
Yeah, low power mode. And hey, Stoke's not got a lot to offer. So it's one of them weeks where...
Biggest understatement of the
where we've just got to just like recoup.
Yeah.
Recoup,
recharge.
And just do the bare minimum.
Not when we're on stage, obviously, but yeah.
But no, it's kind of, sometimes it's nice to have a city that has actually got not a lot to do when you're feeling like deflated. Because if it was a place like Manchester,
you want to be out and about all the time.
Whereas actually, you've come up just at the right time, Stoke.
And we were in London last week, which was so lovely because we got to sort of like see lots of friends and family that we don't normally get to see when we're on the road. But it does mean that like that social bat
was gone, and also because it was 25 degrees.
Yeah.
It was
a lot.
Honestly, last night when we did the first show here and it was just that little bit cooler, I was like, oh my God, this is just like, it feels like a different show.
There's oxygen in the building.
Yeah, and the Rick was
Yeah, my shins are suffering, hence the kind of slightly... I don't know, what is this called in yoga? Like the
forward stretch.
Forward stretch. I'm just saying like a permanent forward stretch in this episode, so apologies for that.
I'm just sitting at a 90-degree angle.
Yeah, fully.
But yeah, we are so happy that we've heard from a lot of you saying how much you love the podcast. Like, it's been so refreshing to hear from fans, from friends, from family, people that are not even in the industry and
wanted to look behind the curtain.
But yeah, and it's been just so refreshing to hear that, and thank you for saying all your lovely messages.
All the love.
Yeah, it's been super nice. When we walked out of stage door one time and someone was like, podcast queens, and we were literally like, what?
It was so lovely. And for our season finale today, we did a little Instagram story of anything that people wanted to know, and we've got so many questions.
So we're going to dive
So
deep.
there's not really a sort of theme this week.
No.
We're just sort of... We're giving the people what they want. Let me get them up.
Let's see what we've got. We've got a real
variety.
mixture of...
Yeah, some of them are inappropriate from our friends. Thank you for that.
But we will not share. We'll just send you personal answers for that.
Yeah, should I just do random order? And then we've just got like topic. Oh, okay. This is quite a good one, I think, to like ease us in. What does a general show day look like in theatre?
Oh,
I feel like there is a general setup from like a scheduling point of view, but it's so different depending on the show, depending on the person. Oh, I'm loving that traffic outside that window.
I'm going to close that window.
I think so. And dependent on the person, I guess.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's certainly for like the UK theatre scene, 8 shows a week is kind of the norm, would you say?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which will normally include like a midweek matinee and then a Saturday matinee. We don't have Sunday shows, so we have performances Monday to Saturday, and then Sunday is our day off / sort of travel day, and all of that kind of thing. Again, I suppose like dependent on energy levels and all of that kind of stuff, slow morning. I do like a slow morning.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about this the other day because I am a real morning person in normal life.
Yeah.
And it's hard to then not to be like, get up and at it, because you've then got to be up.
You kind of
a long
have
time.
to become a night owl when you're working on a show schedule.
And it's kind of just switching it and not thinking about time as like a morning or a night. Like, it's just like, you just got to kind of switch it all a little bit backward a bit. But yeah, we've said that a few times, haven't we, where we've kind of like been up and out and then actually like by the end of the week
Yeah.
we're just deflated.
And you find that you're kind of up and out. I don't know. I certainly at the beginning of this tour, I get really weird. Like once I leave my digs for the day, I really struggle to go back. I don't
yes.
know why.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it is because, like, even though we don't work or live on a 9 to 5 schedule, in my head, I'm kind of like, if I'm leaving, I'm going to work.
Yeah.
So I then don't want to come back. I kind of want to go out, have my day, and then come home and have like bookends to my day, which is so ridiculous in so many ways, especially when you're not at home. It's like that is your base that you should come and go from as many times as you need. But I'm definitely like a slow morning sort of person. Again, weather dependent.
Yeah.
I want to make the most of nice weather, especially at the moment when it's so pleasant outside, that I'm like, I want to get as much vitamin D and fresh air
Because
as
in the winter we
possible.
just don't. Remember in Liverpool, we'd literally wake up, we'd walk to work, and it was basically going dark again.
It was going dark, and it was we just didn't really see daylight because you work on a schedule that was kind of like dark when you go in, dark when you come out sort of situation.
Yeah.
And I do just from like an energy level, a positivity level, like seeing a blue sky.
Oh God, it just makes you.
It's the little things, isn't it?
Makes you feel so much better.
Yeah.
You're supposed to, when you first wake up, get like sunlight in your eyes straight away. It's supposed to really help like your like circadian rhythm. Is that the word?
Okay.
I don't even know what that means, man. But it's supposed to be good for you.
I love that.
But I like the same. I like getting up, having my brekkie, having my coffee. I do like to get my gym done in the morning because if I leave it any later, I just won't go. And then after that, I'll come back, make some food, do any kind of work like this or like any other kind of stuff that
Admin-y
bits that I'm wanting to do. And then again, just have a bit of a chilled afternoon, just so then I'm ready for work. So that either is at home at the digs or going for a coffee or having a little mooch around. But it's trying to just like strip it back a bit instead of being like, I've got to be busy.
Yeah, and live a whole life before you've actually gone to work.
Yeah, because it just throw you then. And
I think I like to. I've since the new year actually got back into reading a lot more, which I like after a show to decompress a little bit because I wasn't doing a lot of that because it's so hard because you go 0 to 100 once you do get into the building, but then it's suddenly 11 p.m. and then you get home and you're like, I feel like I could run a marathon right now.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I suppose it is just like finding things either side of the show. Obviously, that's different on a matinee day because, again, times and all of that kind of stuff is shifting.
But what you were saying there about reading, I've 100% done that as well because I'm still guilty of it. But it's you go from 100 being in the building to then you might be having digs with people, which is nice, and watch something and chat and whatever. But sometimes if you're staying by yourself, like I've had times when I've gone back and I'm literally like,
rocking backwards and
I'm
forwards.
literally like, it's because it's just so
Because we also
drastic.
don't tend to, if you're lucky, like a lot of the time I'll prioritise like getting digs as close to the theatre as possible, which is obviously so lovely and so convenient, but you don't then have the commute to wind down. So you just sort of go through your front door and you're literally like,
okay, what do I do
what now? I need to do another show.
Yeah, literally.
How can you manage the stress you sometimes have before going on stage?
Okay.
This is a good question.
That's a really good question.
Especially as swings and covers.
Yes. Yeah.
I think it's sort of just like how you channel it. Like I don't get stressed. Obviously, you do have a level of nerves, but I kind of just see it as just adrenaline. So I try to like not attach like any emotion to it. So I'm like, oh, okay, my heart rate's a little bit higher. Like all of those, I try and look at it from a calculated sort of logistics point of view of like you're doing something new or daunting or scary and you're having a physical reaction to it rather than like, I'm freaking out, I feel nervous, I'm not capable, because I feel like that's when it then tips you slightly over the edge. And I just feel like, I don't know, I find ways to kind of anchor that and use that to push me through.
Yeah.
I think when you are also on a long contract, naturally those nerves lessen because you get used to things. I do remember like my first Columbia show and like waiting in the wings like before running onto Time Warp and just being like, oh my God. But then you almost don't have a choice. You're kind of like, it's inevitable, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I can either go out. I mean, sometimes you step off stage and you're like, I don't even know what happened.
That first show I did was a blur.
Yeah, you just like
blur.
suddenly
It
I can't
happens.
breathe.
Yeah.
But you kind of get out there, and I do think with experience, you just find your own sort of person. It's a very personal thing, I guess.
Oh yeah,
and
100%.
Nerves affect everybody in different ways, but same with auditions as on stage. It's a really similar feeling. Like
Yeah.
you want to go out, you want to do a really good job.
Yeah. I think for me, it's like just making sure I've got enough time beforehand, like being prepared, my makeup's done,
Yeah.
my hair's in my pin curls, like instead of like everything's rushed.
Yeah.
Because it's not your track that you're going to do every night. It's just making sure you've got enough time, you can then sit, be ready. For me, like when I went on for Columbia, it is very much like you're thrown into like the party. We're here.
Yeah.
When you're nervous, it's the same feeling as when you're excited.
Yeah.
So that's exactly the same thing, and it's just realising that, what's that TikTok where it was like...
My nervous system doesn't know the
difference
difference between like answering an email and being eaten by a shark.
Yeah.
And it's that...
Or like...
walking into an audition room or having a gun held to my head, and you're
Yeah.
like, why does it feel exactly
the same? But for me, like breath is a massive thing for me. I struggled with it a lot of the time, like being on stage and feeling like I couldn't get my breath. And a great thing was doing like 2 short breaths in through the nose and then a long breath out. And if you do that, it slows your obviously breath down, but it connects back into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your like rest and digest. And obviously breath is a massive thing for singing, and especially that track is quite like stamina heavy, so it's going to build up all into here, and it's just making sure that even taking yourself out of your dressing room for a minute and
just dedicating time to thinking about it. And like, we are people that do more homework than we necessarily need to, and so it is just about like having a hot second to not think about, have I got everything, am I where I'm, and just...
Yeah. Some people like really channel, and they're literally so cool as a cucumber.
Yeah.
Like they'll just be like...
take it in their stride.
Yeah. Whereas some people, if like people are chatting to you and you need a bit of time, just be like, I'm really sorry, I just need a minute.
Speak to me
Don't
for
talk
a
to
minute.
me.
Yeah.
And you can sometimes tell by people, like when I went on for my first ever swing track, I literally was like, don't look at me, don't speak to me.
And
my boyfriend was like, are you okay? I was like,
halfway
don't
through-
look at me.
Halfway through, like, oh, well done. And you're like, don't say well done yet.
I'm not done it yet.
It's all going to go wrong. What has been your favourite thing about being on stage?
I think for me, it is... I love the kind of reaction. I love seeing the reaction from the audience. How what we do as a job, we do it because we love it.
Yeah.
And we enjoy performing, we enjoy dancing, all of that. And when I see that it's taking someone else's life and they're kind of like just checked out for 2 hours, 3 hours, and it maybe changes them in a good way or a bad way or whatever, but it's seeing how what we do can influence other people and
Offer
maybe
them
just
like an escapism. isn't
yeah, I love that about our industry, about what we do. And also for myself, if I'm going through a bit of a time where everything in my life is a bit maybe chaotic or just things going on like we all have, when I step on the stage, I'm like, that all just goes away.
Yeah, you leave it.
Because you've got to just think about what you're doing there and now. And like, I always come back to that of like, once I'm on there, like that's all I'm thinking about and focusing on. It's like surfing. A lot of people say that they do that for like mental space because they can't think about anything else.
You have to concentrate on.
But yeah, I think my main thing is like, I love just seeing people's reactions and people's enjoyment because of what we do.
Yeah, I love that.
I think.
I think mine. It just feels like such an exertion for me, like an exertion of energy, expression, and just like joy, I guess. And I just love that. Like it feels. It's so weird because in many ways it feels like an exercise. Like I come off and I'm like, that was cathartic. Don't know what it was, but I feel like I've let something go. And yeah, I think it is that all tied in with the adrenaline, and yeah, there's nothing really quite like it in so many ways.
And even like from a point of view, like I went to watch Great Gatsby at the weekend, and there's this feeling as then I'm on the other side, and I just have this feeling of like pure like rush and adrenaline from even watching, because I'm like, I put myself then on the stage or like, and I'm like, I'm just so motivated, I'm so inspired, and that feeling that you get, it's just,
you can really
electric.
immerse in it.
Yeah. And I just love that. I love that feeling when you see everyone like bundling out after a show, like the buzz and like the energy that everyone's got is just...
Yeah, electric's a really good word to describe that, I think.
Go and watch Great Gatsby, it's fantastic.
Yeah, jealous. I'm going to go and see that in my week off, I think. What's it like being a swing? I feel like we'd need like a whole episode on that. Being a swing is very nerve-wracking, very rewarding, very challenging. I think it's not for everyone. Like it's, I think, so again, with that whole thing of like stress versus excitement, like there would be some people that just would not find that exhilarating because you know, your first show, your first track debut is sometimes your first rehearsal at the same time. Yeah. And that is such like a crazy concept for some people to kind of get their head around.
Especially as performers, when you go on, if you've done like ensemble before that, and you've done obviously probably 4, sometimes 6 weeks rehearsal, then you've done your tech, then with swings, like sometimes that's literally the first time you're going on is your first...
in front of an audience.
Time.
First time wearing the costume.
Like, and what for me, I was like, what I had to really strip back was like the perfectionism in that, because I'd go on and be like, I need it to be exactly how I would be if it was my track. And I had to strip that away because it's not going to be that. What we've said before is like, you've got to take it back to maybe just like that 80% of like, obviously you like exert everything in the way that you would want, but it's just being hyper vigilant of like your surroundings. What's next? Like your brain, you're doing something in your brain somewhere else.
Yeah, I think that is such a good skill, which I think when you are a swing is something that you can't shift that awareness once you have it, because it's like you want to go full out in every which way, but you have to reserve that 1% to be aware of your surroundings. Your peripheral vision almost becomes like your most important thing. And I think something that being a swing's really taught me is like how to animate my face whilst I'm thinking of something completely different. So to everyone out front, it's like, living her best life. Whereas I'm going upstage of Phantom 1, and then I'm going to be downstage of Phantom 2, and then I'm going to be on the second tape. But I need to make sure that when I fall, I'm in this angle, all of that kind of stuff. And so being a swing, I think, is about managing, not showing your concentration. But not letting go of the concentration. You have to stay in that zone the whole time. You cannot get complacent. You can't be, I've done this track before, because that is always when things start to go a little bit haywire.
I've had a great experience being a swing, and I really enjoyed it. I think it is for people or not. And again, it also like, if the time on the show that you're on, that also does like depend on if you're going to have a good time. If like, my first contract was when it was COVID, so it kind of threw me in the deep end. But then I think I learned so much from that. I then was like, I don't think it will ever be as bad as that.
Yeah, and if I can manage that, then I can manage anything.
But I do love the changing of it. I love every time I went on for a track, like you say, even if it was the same track, it'd be different. You might be doing it with a different person, it might be the same, but even you on the stage, it'll just feel different. But yeah, I really enjoy being a swing.
Me too.
I would definitely...
Split tracking's my favourite part of it.
Yeah, and I sometimes find that like even, not easier, but like, because you have to like, your brain is just switched on and...
You're hyper aware of everything.
You're so hyper aware of everything.
I find it more nerve-wracking, weirdly, if we're like at full company and I'm stepping into one person's track. I find that more nerve-wracking than split tracking 5 people. Because I'm kind of like, when you're split tracking, you're doing a track that doesn't necessarily in the blocking of the show actually exist. So you're already aware that you're going to be pulled in lots of different directions and maybe doing costume changes at a different time and all of these sorts of things. But when you're slotting in, it's kind of like if anything goes wrong, it's going to be on you
Yeah.
because everyone is doing what they do 8 shows a week.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're split tracking, you're just kind of like, I don't know, you just feel like a bit of a superhero.
Yeah, I think once you've been a swing, you're also really aware of other people, of like, even my language that I say when I'm in the building, of like, oh, my knee's hurting. Or even if I went to you, because Stacey's a swing on this, I'm ensemble, if I'm like, oh, my knee's hurting, my reaction if I was Stacey would be like, okay, Holly's knee's hurting. She could be, maybe she like, if
she goes downstage of Erica on this.
Yeah, and my head already goes like, okay, if she goes off, then this is the track. And like, as an ensemble member now, I'm so hyper aware of what my words are because I know the position that you've been in, and I think you only learn that from
when
being a swing.
Yeah, I think as well from a DC point of view, I'm conscious in the other respect of if say someone's been poorly and I say like, so how are you feeling today? I'm aware that me asking that might come across differently to someone else asking it because it might come across as I'm going, so do I need to change the show setup for today? And I don't want it to be that. I'm like, I'm your friend, I'm checking in.
Yeah, it's fine.
But
that
it
balance.
is, and again, you know, covers will have had rehearsal unless it's, you know, something's gone really crazy
true,
early
actually,
on.
Yeah.
But it is that same awareness of like having those conversations without completely throwing someone's nervous system out of whack.
But yeah, I also hate it when people are like, do you want to do my trek tonight?
That's not why I'm here.
No, you do your job and I'll do mine.
Very well put. Very well put. What's a musical actor's ultimate dream goal? Broadway, West End, lead, film, ? All of the above.
Oh,
I mean, I feel like it's so circumstantial, isn't it? And so individual.
I'd bloody love to do Broadway.
Yeah, that would be mental. I think it's so difficult because it also, the goalposts always change.
Yeah.
And I also think that like we sometimes condition ourselves to sort of be like, if you're going to label yourself or train as a performer, performing has to be the ultimate goal. And it can be really unnerving if other goals crop up along the way that aren't necessarily on stage.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, Broadway.
Yeah, like I say, I'd obviously love to do Broadway, but for me, I don't have like a dream. I don't have like a dream role show. I just want to work and connect with a lot of different people.
Expand your network.
Yeah.
And I think it's, because it's so then some performers, you know, travel is such like a huge benefit of our industry. So for them, the ultimate goal would be like cruise ships and international touring and guest ent work and gigging and corporate work and all of that kind of, it's so hard. I think there's no way to kind of have a one size fits all, what is the be all and end all of everything.
Yeah, because it's just ever changing.
It's always changing, and sometimes like if you're lucky enough to get like a really niche role, your ultimate goal would then be something that's like the total opposite of that, so that you can, because I'm like, from my point of view, it's like I just want to do anything and everything. And I want to tick everything off, whether that be on stage, on screen, in the UK, abroad.
Yeah.
I think it's about having a really big network, meeting loads of people, creating things that matter with really inspiring people, seeing lots of places, seeing lots of people, and just sort of, I suppose everyone, whether you're in the industry or not, is just chasing a level of fulfillment. And that fulfillment looks different for everybody. This is a funny one. Biggest backstage ick. Ick.
It's not something that I ever encountered personally, but it did give me the ick when I heard about it. When someone had a Jakemans in their mouth, which is like a throat lozenge, isn't it? And they obviously had it in, and then they needed to go on stage, and they took it out and like put it on like the prop desk. I'm sorry, but like, no, just put it in the bin.
To like come back for it later, do you think?
Well, I'm like, I'm not picking it up off that dirty prop desk. Ooh. I'm like, just put it in a tissue and put it in the bin. Yeah, that was really...
That is quite icky.
And they tried to call it out, but no one owned up to it. And I'm like...
Yeah, you're not going to put your hand up at Paris like, yeah, that was me.
But I'm like, why are you doing it?
Yeah, I don't know if I've got any icks necessarily. This is a funny one. This isn't actually one for me, but I feel like this is one from a crew point of view, is like telling people to keep it down and they go like, oh yeah, sorry. So basically and then they keep speaking in the same volume, like, and you see them be like, how does that work? Like, I suppose would come under the ick category. But yeah, I can't really claim that as my own. What have you learnt about yourself through playing your characters? I think I've learnt how much I love singing from when I've gone on for, like, when I was on Bat, of how, like, the vocals in that show, like, it was such a beast. And I've really, I think, again, coming from, like, predominantly a dance background, realised, like, how important singing is to me. And the same with, like, when I went on for Janet, like, broken finger aside, it was just, I was like, oh my God, this is what I love. Like, telling stories and using my voice, if that's not the most cliche thing I think I've ever said in my life. I love, and something actually, this isn't character specific, but I love comedy.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I've learned from Rocky, is like how much I actually love that, because it's so fun to do, fun to play with, fun to watch. Yeah, I think that's something that I've learned from the show as a whole.
Yeah. I think for me, what I've learned from my characters, like covers, is from the first time I went on to like the last time I went on, it's, I think especially as a cover, we feel like we've just got to kind of be as close as we can to that first cast.
Mm-hmm.
The nice thing that we have with Rocky is that last time I went on, I felt like I wasn't just a clone copy of the first Magenta or Columbia. I feel like I try to find my own interpretation with that, and I think I've only learned that on this contract of like, I don't need to just be the clone.
You can trust your
Obviously,
own
there's
ideas.
you've got to stick to
The blueprint
structure
on the whole, yeah.
But even we have quite a free reign with like some of the singing bits in the songs, and just like how your mannerism as that character. And I think it's, what I've learned is just you try and bring your own, and I feel like when you then go on, it's like, yeah, that was my version of it, instead of
a carbon copy.
And I don't know if that was something that I've just done because when you go on for a cover, it could be like I've only been on a few times, so it's always just been like, oh, I'm on.
Yeah, and make it happen.
Make it happen. Exactly. Get on, and then it's like one time, and then you're back to your normal track.
Next. What prep do musical theatre performers need to do to keep their voice and body healthy? That's a really good question. I think probably part of that, again, going back to like general day in the life sort of situation, is like finding what you can do outside of the job, whether that is physical, vocal, mental, that aids your performance, that's sustainable alongside your performance, that doesn't knacker you out, that just kind of keeps everything going, taking your warm-up seriously, doing a cool down after the show. I'm not great at that. I need to get better at that.
Yeah.
I'm good at remembering to like vocally cool down, but I feel like I do just sort of like stop.
No, yeah, I'm
from
really
a physical point of view.
Vocal and physical, I'm pretty bad at it. But it's, again, because it's just like, you're like, we're done, we're getting out, we're going home. And actually, you do really need to prioritise that. I think little things like vocal is just like making sure you're getting enough water in. Like,
yeah, water's a big thing.
For me, my vocal tube is my
yes, love our little straws.
That's my saviour of like not blasting out a vocal warm up. For like 8 shows a week, I do think the tube just makes it more maintainable. Physically, again, I think it's just moving your body for whatever you need. If that's a walk, if that's Pilates, if that's a HIIT class, if it's whatever it is, and it differs with each show. But this is quite a physically demanding show, so I don't do a lot of like cardio heavy outside of it. I'll do a lot of like stamina stuff, just try to keep that up, but I wouldn't be able to get through that.
I think it's also like to continue training, like,
yes, 100%, and
just
doing something different.
Yeah, and staying in that student mentality for your whole life. Like,
and like, how amazing.
And don't sort of see booking a job as kind of like okay, that means I'm done now, sort of thing. It's like, that's obviously an amazing achievement, but that's by no means a replacement for classes, warm-ups, cool-downs, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, and it's maintaining all of that kind of, not just forgetting about what you did at college or before college even.
Yeah.
Keeping all of the things that got you to where you are, keep them going alongside what you're now doing. And not burning yourself out, which is probably what a lot of performers end up doing, I think. Should we do one more?
Yeah.
Sorry if we've not managed to cover your question, but we had so many, which is lovely.
That's so nice.
Oh, this is quite a nice one. Your favourite memories. Do you know, weirdly, actually, the first thing that springs to mind about my favourite sort of theatrical memory was playing Elle Woods in Legally Blonde at the Summer Youth Project at the Beck Theatre. And even though it wasn't in a professional capacity and it was whilst I was still at Erdang, it was just one of the best things I think I've ever been a part of. And again, it goes back to that thing of like the people I was doing it with meant a great deal to me. I'd known a lot of them since I was like teeny tiny. And obviously Elle Woods is just like the most phenomenal character ever. But I loved it. And the Beck Theatre is so responsible for why I'm here now. And it was really special to get to do something as mammoth as that in that place. And it's amazing to see what the people that I did that with have gone on to do and all that kind of stuff. That's probably one of my, I mean, I've got so many,
it's so
theatre
hard.
memories, but that is like always one that's at the forefront of my mind. And what's quite nice is whenever I speak to the people who I shared that experience with, they all say the same. They're like, there was just something really special about that show and about that production and that whole experience.
I think for me, when you said that first question, like my favourite memory, I think it would be booking my first job. That just comes, I think it's obviously everything that we've all worked for. And at the time I didn't have an agent, so I got the call myself. And I remember just like being in my car, and I remember like, I think it must have been the general manager, I can't remember who it was, but they were like, hi, like you've booked the job, and I just remember like crying, and then she's like talking a lot of stuff, and she was like,
I'm not even
I don't know what you're talking about, but could you just put it in an email and I'll send it to my mum to read?
Yeah.
Like, I was just so like, not naive to it, but also just like, it was all new, and it was all exciting, and it was everything that I'd wanted.
You do always remember those kind of like small pockets of like where you were really present, and you do literally like sponge it in, and you kind of, that whole mental picture of like enjoy it, like remember this feeling, because it's, they are really kind of like life affirming experiences, which is, we're very, very lucky to have. I feel like that was a good question to
finish on.
end our season finale.
Thank you so much for tuning in.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed this season of Behind the Curtain.
And well, let us know what you kind of want to see for the next season. We'd love to hear who you want to hear from, what you want to hear about, if there's anything kind of that we don't do that you want us to do, like throw it at us. Let's see what we can do.
100.
But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in.
Love you.
Love you so much.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Behind the Curtain podcast.
Don't forget, you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Behind Curtain Podcast.
And follow the link in our bio to watch us on YouTube. We love you so much.
We love you.
Bye.
Bye.